Charlie's wedding.
Yeah.
Charlie, you see that I was wearing white pants.
Yes.
On my way.
On your way.
Charlie, then the engine.
He just decided to stop.
Charlie, fine boy, white, pushing car.
It's not easy. And the sun too was shining.
Charlie, you should take your advice.
Answer tomorrow. And we're sponsored also by Enterprise Life. Enterprise Your Advantage. So it's Thursday, the 10th of September, and this is the Citi Breakfast Show. I'm here with Kokui Hansen. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernardino.
I like the way you sing the good morning. Good morning, Bernardino. It reminds me of one of my lecturers when I went to the UK. Bernardino. Bernardino. You know, they mentioned the name with verb. Bernardino, are you alright? And I was like, Charlie, Charlie, what is this? You know, it's like Bernardino. No, it's very serious. Godfred.
Bernardino.
And they call you, that's the, you know, yeah, but it's Bernardino. Yeah, so I saw you go. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, good, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, man.
Christopher Nimley is in my mind.
Christopher Nimley?
Yeah, it's just against Bauer. You know, there's been a breakthrough in the Sancho conversation. So
has it come?
A few days to the start of the EPL.
Oh, has it been yet?
Not yet, but breakthrough has come.
Oh, breakthrough.
Yes.
Hey.
So tomorrow Nimley will be here to preach.
People are breaking through for children and wives and husbands. People are breaking through for signings.
Footballers. Oh gosh.
Front page of the Daily Graphic, Bernard. Curbing examination malpractice. Rogue websites hot, according to WAEC. President casts sought for recycling plant at Fiaso.
Ghanaian Times. Bono East gets 15 million euro waste treatment plant. President cuts sought for construction work to begin. Chiefs, people of 3 Achim states demo against former President Mahama. Man jailed 10 years for robbery. And Ghana population housing census now takes place next year.
That story is on the front page of the Daily Statesman. The real Sakawa happened under you. Angry Achim chiefs and citizens descend on Mahama for insulting them. 15 million euro integrated recycling and compost plant project takes off. And under 1D1F, the president has inspected a $34 million starch processing factory at Amentin.
And the Chronicle, retract and apologize for your Sakawa endorsement, demonstrators tell Mahama. Retool Navy to fight pirates, says retired colonel. And 15 million euro compost plant for Techiman.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper, the demonstration that happened at Achim is here. Trust me, I'm truthful, says Akufo-Addo. Ghanaian pastor kills wife in the US. Very sad story that came through yesterday. Obinim docket merged. I'll give you details, Bernard.
The New Crusading Guide, Kennedy Ejapong in hot waters. Judge summons him over insults. Ni Okunim Adama I sets record straight, denies inciting youth against soldiers. BPPI lauds Akufo-Addo as ECOWAS chairman, and Achim's stage demo against Mahama.
Front page of the Daily Heritage newspaper. Mahama owes no apology, says Ejenim Boateng. Killer landlord for Ankafo today, and this is in the Ofanko murder case.
ABC News. Akufo-Addo employs 93,000 teachers. Work starts on 35-kilometer Atebubu Kojo Danso Kwame Krom Road. Kwame Danso commissioned. Don't go independent, Kate Jemfua pleads. And elections 2020 reject inconsistent Mahama.
Finally, from me, Bernard, the front page of the BNFT. GAEC pushes for radiation to stop post-harvest losses, boost exports. Now is the time to buy shares, says Afeji. And inflation drops in August as food prices continue to decline.
And the Business Finder, 15 million euro compost plant for Techiman. President cuts sod and says it will provide jobs for youth. EcoBank's performance sterling, says Pricewaterhouse. And there's information on season 2 of Ghana's entrepreneurship challenge, the McDan Challenge.
CityNewsroom.com. I never took a penny as MD of TOR. This is a word that also Mohammed's incompetence will cause NDC's defeat in 2020. This is Baumia. Meanwhile, MPP is not frightened by NDC's promise to legalize Okada, according to the Transport Minister, and NDC's free primary healthcare will be funded with oil money. This is Sylvester Mensah. Other stories. Kwame Naho is working with Rawlings. Amidu's critique part 4, the sequel.
Part 4 has a sequel.
So like part 4, part 4A, part 4B. Wow. Also, Nanado cuts out for 15 million euro Techiman compost plant. And Ghanaian engineers racing to build the country's first low-cost ventilators. This is a special by Jonas Nyabo. If you go to myjournalline.com, the lead with the Ghanaian pastor reportedly kills wife in Florida by shooting her 7 times. Also, legalizing Okada business is the right way to go. This is Professor Boafo. And stakeholder consultations on Okada legalization have begun. Transport Minister already. Meanwhile, WAEC hands over invigilators who assisted students during exams to the security agencies. So that's not the last we heard of this story. Now, there are a couple of education stories I want to bring to you. If you go to Manjoy Online, closure of schools during pandemic increased teenage pregnancy. This is from Africa Education Watch. There's been some conversation on this. It's come up again. And if you go back to citinewsroom.com, mass reopening of schools not advisable now. This is the NDC's ranking member in Parliament on Education, Peter Nochu Kochoy. So this education thing is really confusing everybody. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, Registrar General deploys central beneficial ownership register for extractives. Also, shop owners at Akramo demand reduction in high rent charges. And official liquidator for defunct fund managers seeks client help to prosecute ex-officials. If we go to Star News, NADMO distributes relief items to flood victims. This is Bagre Dam. Meanwhile, no money paid to Shatawale Ejako. Ghana Exim Bank denies reports. And Akufo-Addo cuts off for 15 million euro waste treatment plant at the Bono East region. If you go to GNA as well, they lead with a Japan royalties transaction. Finance Ministry engages Social Partnership Council and faith-based organizations. Meanwhile, you can't copy our performance. Baumia Jabs NDC. So where do you guys want to start from?
Start
today?
from PAC.
PAC.
Yeah, you start from PAC.
Which one is
The Public Accounts
The Public
Committee.
Accounts Committee.
the Public Accounts Committee? Okay, and which specific story do you want me to go into?
Well, we have a lot, so
Few.
Okay, let's get it.
you have the Shatawale one.
Okay, so that's a reaction actually. So this is the Star News. It says that no money paid to Shatta Ejako. GH Exim Bank denies reports. The Ghana Export and Import Bank has denied paying 2 million cedis to dancehall musician Shatawale. Now, Kumugu MP Ras Mubarak at the Public Accounts hearing Wednesday sought to find out from the Deputy CEO of the bank, Kwame Edu Dakwa, whether payments had been made to some members of the Creative Arts Council or industry, including Shatawale and Alexander Kofi Edu, popularly known as Ejako. According to the Kumungo MP, there were reports of payments made to them. But in response, Deputy CEO in charge of Finance and Admin, Kwame Edu Dakwa, denied any payment to the dancehall musician. According to him, a media consultant was engaged to help promote made in Ghana products so the artist could be brand ambassadors for the campaign. He, however, denied engaging such ambassadors directly or making payment from the accounts of GH Exim Bank to any of them. Chairman of the committee, James Klucha-Veji, however, stated management of the bank will be summoned again after the committee had gathered the needed evidence to the contrary.
All right. Well, other state agencies also appeared yesterday, Bernard. Page 16 of the Daily Graphic. PAC decries loss of state funds due to poor accounting. And there has been one case at the GTTC, which is the Government Technical Training Center. So, for instance, when the GTTC took its turn in the hot seat, it came to light that two of its officials had misappropriated 65,368 Ghana cedis between 2011 and 2016.
Wow.
Now, the GTCC was also cited for printing receipt books without authorization and using them to transact business. For its part, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority was found to have used over 1.3 million Ghana cedis to purchase clothes for its staff without a proper report on the transaction. The Minister of Transport, Mr. Kweku Ofori-Esiama, who was at the park, sitting to support the transport sector agencies, gave an assurance that the government was on course on seeing to the construction of your favorite port, Bernard, the Kita port.
That's the
He said a consortium of consultants led by a German firm was currently carrying out feasibility studies on the project. Quote, per the discussions we had with them, they are supposed to present the report to us from the last quarter of this year to the first quarter of 2021. And we hope that by December this year, we will get the final feasibility study, which will determine the infrastructure needs of the place and go to market for them.
Well, since you're on that, Minister, stakeholder consultation on Okada legalization have already begun. This is the Transport Minister. This is a story on myjournal.com. Transport Minister Kwesi Ofori-Esiama says the MPP government has begun stakeholder consultations to decide on whether to review the law banning the commercial use of motorcycles or implement it. Here's a quote. We as a government know that this is a matter that we need to take our time to confront the people with, come out with views, and will determine whether the law should be put in place or not. He said laws are meant to be changed when needed, depending on the times. Adding that if amending the law will be a better option, the government will not hesitate to do so. What's the background? John Mahama in August promised his government will legalize commercial operation of motorbikes, popularly known as Okadas. He voted. And his comments generated mixed reactions from Ghanaians, with one section throwing their support behind it, while another called for implementation of the law banning the Okada operation rather.
All right. Well, the Ghanaian Times also captures the Keta Port story and what's happening with that, and the Public Accounts Committee story there. But can we go to the population census?
Okay, it's
which
coming next year.
is going to take place next year. The Ghana Statistical Service is to conduct the population and housing census next year. The 2020 census was previously scheduled to take place on March 15th, but had to be postponed twice. The GSS first rescheduled the survey to May 15th before it later postponed the exercise to June 28th for a mapping exercise and to build quality data for the main census. The government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina Enim, speaking to the press in Accra yesterday, said due to the coronavirus disease, COVID-19, training activities and events that would be experienced during this year's electioneering processes, the census has been postponed to 2021. Yes, with certainty, the National Steering Committee is going to support the Statistical Service to have the census done in the first half of 2021.
Let's follow the president around, Bernard.
Okay.
He has been busy, and so I will take you to the Daily Heritage, page 5, where the president, as part of his tour of the Bono East region, has cut the sort for the construction of a 50 million euro waste treatment plant. The president has cut sort for the construction of a solid waste treatment facility at Fiaso in the Techiman South Municipal of the Bono East region. It formed part of the president's 2-day tour of the region. The 50 million euro project, which is expected to be completed within 4 months, is under a partnership between Zoom Lion and its private sector partners and the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. The president has also inspected a $34 million starch processing factory at Amenting, and according to
This is still Bono East.
yes, touring the premises of the Amenting Agro Processing Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian company, as part of his 2-day working visit of the Bono East region. President Akufo-Addo stated that when fully completed, the factory will be one of the most modernized and fully automated industrial starch factories in West Africa.
Koku, still in that region, some roads also came up, right? I think you read some headlines. He cut the sod for the commencement of construction of town roads in Tiobodom in Techiman North constituency in the Bono East region. He did a sod cutting yesterday, Wednesday, September 9, on his second day visiting the region. He indicated that a total of 5.5 kilometers of roads within Tiobodom will be given a bitumen facelift. And it says the tune of 10.9 million cedis has been awarded to Stavements Co. for the construction of the roads by the Department of Feeder Roads, an agency under the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Now, specific to the towns of Tiobodom, Honorable Kwesi Amakwanta stated that the Zongo Market Road, the Chiefs Palace number 1 road, and Chiefs Palace number 2 roads are examples of roads that will be constructed under the project. So those are summaries of what the president has been doing on his travels. Let's come to other stories.
All right, the road that you were mentioning here in the ABC News, the Atebubu Kwame Danso Kwame Krom 35-kilometer road.
Okay, so that's different from the Chobodom one.
The Chobodom one, yeah. It's part of the roads being done under government's critical roads program, with the road being constructed by Just Mo Construction Limited. The project commencing on 22nd April and is expected to complete construction on 21st October 2022. So in a couple of years, the entire cost of the road is being borne by government.
Okay. Now let's move to other stories.
We're staying with politics. Massive demo hits Bahama at Achim. That's on page 3 of the Daily Guide. The 3 divisions of Achim, namely Ebuakwa, Bosumi, and Kotoku in the eastern region, have staged a massive demonstration at Asmankese in the West Achim municipality against former President John Dramani Mahama for an alleged disparaging remark he made about the ethnic grouping. As a result, the concerned citizens of Achim, Ebuakwa, Bosumi, and Kotoku say they have given the former president, who is the flag bearer of the NDC, to apologize unconditionally to the 3 Achim states within 72 hours, or they will cause all Achims to prevent Mr. Mahama and the NDC from campaigning in any of the 3 Achim states.
Yeah. The Chronicle captures the same story. And continuing, let's hear what Mr. Mahama seems to be saying. Well, meanwhile, Mr. Mahama appears unperturbed about the heat that has met his action. He has rather argued that President Akufo-Addo has lost the right to complain about name-calling. He rationalizes that Akufo-Addo referred to late Professor Mills as Prof. Doolittle. Yeah, he acknowledged that those working on the Ejapa deal had names and belonged to a political party, so it had nothing to do with the Achim tribe.
Let's talk more politics. Mahama's incompetence will cause NDC defeat in 2020 polls. This is Bawumia, and this is still from his tour of certain parts of the country. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says the main opposition party will suffer a humiliating defeat in the 2020 polls. According to him, The NDC will lose the election because of the gross incompetence exhibited by his flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, when he was president. He insists that Mr. Mahama could not manage Ghana's economy well during his tenure, but rather presided over wanton corruption that brought serious economic hardships to citizens. He was speaking to a Durbar of chiefs and people of Jirapa in the Upper West region as part of his 3-day campaign tour of the region when he made those comments. Now, still on the same website, free primary health care will be funded with oil money by Sylvester Mensah, spokesperson on health for NDC Manifesto Committee. Sylvester Mensah says the party intends to fund the primary health care initiative promise with a percentage of the country's oil revenues should it win the 2020 elections. Now, former President John Mahama promised that the next NDC government will implement free primary health care for all Ghanaians under a special arrangement to be managed by the National Health Insurance Authority. The NDC described this plan as, quote, the fulcrum, unquote, around which its health policy would revolve. It expects to have the policy up and running before the end of 2021 to cover persons who seek healthcare services nationwide. Then they talked about the cost. Alex Abefia says it will cost them $80 million. A group called the Concerned Citizens Association of Ghana subsequently raised doubts about the feasibility of the policy. But then on Citi TV's Voters Diary, Sylvester Mensah explained that the initiative will be made possible by the funding from oil revenue, among other sources.
Well, the elections are not just about MPP NDC. On page 19 of the Daily Graphic, the GCPP, remember them?
Yes.
To launch manifesto and acclaim presidential candidate. The Great Consolidated Popular Party is set to make a great showing at the 2020 presidential and parliamentary polls with the acclamation of his flag bearer and introduction of national officers at the National Delegates Congress on September 19, 2020. The National Delegates Congress, which will take place at the La Palme Royal Beach in Accra, will also be used to launch its domestication manifesto, which centers mainly on renewable energy sufficiency and organic agriculture geared towards industrialization and employment creation. Now, the party is expected to acclaim Dr. Henry Latte as its presidential candidate for the election.
All right, can we talk about education for a bit?
Yes, please.
Inability to read at grade 2 is disheartening. This is from Nat. Children's inability to read basic words at grade 2 in Ghana is disheartening. Mr. Palam Oyiye, the national coordinator of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, said in Accra on Tuesday at a virtual conference organized by the Ghana Publishers Association to celebrate the 2020 World Literacy Day. He said some children were unable to read simple words like the and cat.
It's serious.
The conference was on the theme Child Literacy as Foundation for Future Development Strategies in the COVID-19 Crisis and Beyond. He said the report indicated that only 2% of grade 2 or primary 2 pupils in Ghana were able to read at an appropriate grade level, with 50% unable to recognize a single word.
God have mercy.
What?
Now, still on education, mass reopening of schools now not advisable. This is the MP, ranking member on Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Notukotoi, has revealed that mass reopening of schools in the country is not advisable. Now, NGO Child Rights International on Monday, September 7, called for the immediate reopening of schools, claiming that the partial reopening of JHS and SHS has proven that it will be safer for students to be in school than stay at home. But the member of parliament who was speaking on the subject thought otherwise. And he basically says that it would be inadvisable to open schools at this stage. He says such a step cannot be taken till COVID-19 has been totally nipped in the bud. Here's a quote: "It's not right for the mass reopening of schools across the country now. I believe in the fact that prevention is better than cure, and we are trying to prevent an escalation. So if the COVID-19 number is going down, let's wait till we have 0 infections before we reopen school." Then still on COVID-19, closure of schools during pandemic increased teenage pregnancy. Africa Education Watch, story on myjournal.com, research policy and advocacy think tank Africa Education Watch has warned that more teenage girls are likely to get pregnant if schools remain closed. This was from a research conducted in 200 schools across the country, including 100 junior high schools and senior high schools during the reopening period for finalists. Findings from the research found out that 20% of the schools sampled recorded cases of girls not returning to school because 85% of the girls were pregnant and 15% were early married. The advocacy organization believes that this could spell doom for young girls in JHS and SHS. And the organization said it is not recommending schools be open now in the midst of the pandemic, but rather just drawing attention of government to a critical side effect. Okay, so they are not saying because of that open school, but they are saying whilst the thing is unopened, this is what is going on.
Let me take you to the back page of the Daily Graphic, Bernard. Gridco working to resolve power outages. Ghana Grid Company Limited main electricity transmission company in the country, has given an assurance that it is taking immediate steps to resolve the challenges its plants are facing, which have resulted in power outages in recent times. It said its plants in the western and eastern regions had suffered problems with some key transmission lines and that it was working to provide solutions to address the setbacks. The statement says steps were being taken immediately to resolve the challenges, especially the one at the Takoradi thermal plant. A source at the Electricity Company of Ghana expressed concern about the situation and said Gridco would expedite execution of the repair works to bring stability and reliability to the power supply system.
All right, let's look at what the official liquidator for the fund managers has been up to. The Registrar General, Jemima Wari, has asked disgruntled clients of defunct fund management companies to furnish her with any evidence suggesting misconduct by former directors of the affected companies to enable her to take legal action against them. She said this in reaction to calls by participants in the ongoing creditor meetings for the official liquidator to investigate key characters responsible for the collapse of the companies they invested their funds in. Mrs. Owari said calls for the investigation and subsequent prosecution of ex-officials of the collapsed companies can be accelerated if the clients provide her office with incriminating evidence. Quote, "Of course, I've told them, with the kind of asset base that I have, if they know of anybody, any of the directors who has hidden assets or siphoned funds, they can assist the official liquidator. And with that, whatever investigations we carry out, if there's any fraud, we'll hand them over to the Attorney General for prosecution. But I need information."
Let me give you two quick stories, Bernard, from page 6 of the Daily Guide. Very sad story here. Ghanaian pastor kills wife in U.S. A Ghanaian-born pastor, Sylvester Fori, has been arrested by the Orlando police in the U.S. state of Florida on suspicion of killing his wife, Barbara Tomei, also known as Barbara Fori, on Tuesday morning. The victim, 27, an employee of the Navy Federal Credit Union, was shot and killed at the Garden Parks Boulevard, west of John Young Parkway and north of the mall at Millennia as she arrived for work that morning.
What at all did she do?
According to the police, the bloody incident was captured on a surveillance video and decided that and added that Ofori took off from the scene immediately. He shot the wife as the woman collapsed thereafter.
7 times.
7 times.
This one now, you are going to go to prison or death penalty.
Yeah.
What at all did she do to you? Now, I have good news. Michael Essien joins FC North Zealand as player coach. Story on Citi Sports Online.
Yeah.
Former Chelsea and Ghana star Michael Essien has joined Dutch Super League side FC Nordland's coaching staff for the 2020-2021 season. Essien, 37, will also participate in training sessions alongside the players, the club has announced. Now, since leaving Azerbaijan in July this year, the former AC Milan and Real Madrid star spent 4 days. Oh, so friends, we didn't even add Chelsea. So former AC Milan and Real Madrid star. So now Chelsea's main credentials are AC Milan and Real Madrid. Spent 4 days with the club last month. And he says he will be understanding their coaching staff as part of his journey to becoming a coach. Superb.
Yeah,
Now, Essien has already done his coaching badges, becomes the second Ghanaian to join Nordland's coaching staff with former Asante Kotoko head coach Masood Didi Dramani, currently serving as assistant first team coach of the club. Now, FC Nordland sporting director Jean Lawson explained the club's decision to hire Essien. He says Essien left a very positive impression here during his visit, and we continued the dialogue with him after he had left, he told the club's website. Essien is Charlie.
He's doing well.
Happy for him.
Really, Essien was a master for us for some. I mean, 2006 World Cup. Essien was just awesome.
I'm interested to see him as a coach. He comes across as very reserved.
That's a very interesting
So
point.
I'd like to see whether or not.
And
Why are you laughing?
and he's also an Apsu.
Yes, he is.
I know.
He's an absolute.
Yeah, since you are from
I've
that.
seen you've done well.
Oh, they produce sports people plenty.
Don
Plenty.
Bote is also enough, so you know that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Hey,
Don Bote is enough.
St. Augustine.
Oh,
Okay.
they're on form.
Apsu Hopsa.
Yeah.
This is the